And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the greatest real estate investment show ever. Here's the flip-flop investor himself, Todd Bayer.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Flip-Flop Investor Show. I am your host, Todd Bayer, the Flip-Flop Investor himself. Every week we get together and talk about real estate investing here in the Inland Empire and talk about goal setting. That's the goal this month. We're talking about goal setting. That's our sort of January series, and next month we'll have a new topic we're going to cover. But this month, since it's the beginning of the year and everybody set their resolutions and things they want to get done this year, we figured goal setting would be a good thing to talk about. So last week we had a great guest on talking about how she runs her bar and how she's had some of her goals come into play there. So this week I have my business partner, Stephen McKee, very special guest, former Flip-Flop Investor co-host. Stephen McKee, how you doing today?
Oh, just spectacular, Todd.
Yeah, are you setting goals today?
No.
What?
I've already set my goals.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're on the show because we're going to start setting some goals today. And, I know you know about Tony Robbins.
Sure.
What do you know about Tony Robbins?
So, we're trying to, going into this year, right, with the club, we thought it was really important that we had a schedule of, what the meetings were going to be like.
Yep.
And then going into, each of these schedules, so, for example, January being goal setting, we had to look for some, mentors or people in the industry that's their focus. Tony Robbins is probably one of the first people that come to mind.
Sure.
Right? When you do with goal setting. One of my personal favorites is Tim Ferriss because the goals are a little more visual. They're refined a little tighter. So when we're talking about doing this episode, we talk about doing sort of a combination of the both of them into a very succinct goal setting process for this year.
Yeah. So following Tony Robbins,
sure,
is he has the SMART method, right? That's his way of coming to a very specific goal.
Yes.
That you're trying to set. And he calls it the SMART method. SMART. S-M-A-R-T is an acronym.
It's like they planned this or something.
I know. And he likes to ask, are you smart? But
No.
So I know you don't have to be. You don't have to be smart to set a goal. Basically, the SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time frame. So when you're setting a goal, it needs to tick all those boxes. You need to make sure that your cell phones are off, of course, when you're doing live broadcasts like this.
So when I'm generally irritated with someone because their goal doesn't fit any of that criteria.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean that's it's funny because not that it's intentional, but I do find that when I do business planning meetings with people, I get really irritated at that they don't tick all those boxes.
Right.
So if specific is the first part of that, the specifics are probably the first thing that frustrates me when somebody comes in to sit down.
So when you hear specific, what do you think? Because to me, specific is I want to make $1 million in the next 5 years. Yeah,
but so I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. I was talking to Tyler.
Okay.
So Tyler, for those of you guys who don't know, Tyler he's building an acquisitions team for the company right now, and he's slowly moving to a position of management where he's going to be overseeing a lot of production in the company. And he had these kind of generic. Oh, we were looking at TickTick. That's what it was.
Okay.
So the to-do list software. If anybody needs really good software for a to-do list software, TickTick, in my opinion, is the best software out there. It's free. It is sort of the replacement for Wunderlist for anybody who used them before, but Microsoft bought Wunderlist and sort of killed the company.
It's a shame.
It really pissed me off.
Because we were using Wunderlist.
Yeah, we were literally integrated in the office.
Yeah.
So when he had this goal of this line item, and your to-do list should be a thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So it looked more like this vague goal which said create mailer system.
Okay.
Some people will be like, that's a goal, but really,
it's probably a task.
It's like an idea. It's like a vague idea in the ether.
Yeah.
Make the specific goal would be something like I want to create these 7 parts of this system, and there's these 7 parts because of these things.
Right.
So like if in this case this mail system, I'm saying I am trying to get 10 people to call me per month from this mailer, so that I can buy one deal, so that I can make this amount of income, so I can achieve some other goal, right?
Yeah. So you're trying to, in order to set the goal, you have to come out with what is the outcome at the end. The outcome being, I want to get at least 1 phone call a day or something like that.
Sure.
From your marketing efforts.
Yeah.
So in creating your goal, to be specific, you need to say, in doing mailers, for example, I need it to produce at least 1 phone call to me a day. That's a motivated seller or something like that.
Yeah, that's we're working backwards, right?
We're working it backwards.
Yeah.
Because you always want to take, what is the end result going to be, and sort of start.
You're milling it down.
Yeah, you're taking it down.
Like this, like the David Allen, for another person to read, Getting Things Done. Like in his book, he talks about milling everything down to like a single action item. And so like a task produces a goal, right? A series of tasks produce a goal.
Sure.
So in Tyler's case, I was like, okay, let's break this down into a whole bunch of tasks. But the irony is, like, the mailer list was like the middle, right? Because the goal was the other side. The goal was like, I have this this goal of doing 60 deals a year, and then he had this generic task, and then all the way down to these specific series of tasks, which we'll kind of get into next month when we talk about the business planning side of achieving your goals, right? But the goal, like, when somebody says specific to me, it's visual. If I were to say, like, you shouldn't be able to change my vision.
Okay.
So if I were to say to you, I want to work from the beach.
Okay, that's your end goal.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Right?
I shouldn't be able to tell you, I think you should work from a deck that's near the beach.
Yeah, totally. And you also shouldn't be able to, like, without telling me, change the vision of what that looks like. So if I said I want to work from the beach, you shouldn't be able to imagine the beach any different than I do.
Okay.
So I would like to be on this section of the ocean at this specific beach, in this type of property or in the sand or whatever, on this type of lounge chair with this type of drink in my hand with these people with whatever, and like it pulls you.
Yeah,
it's so refined it pulls you to it.
Yeah, you're painting a picture.
Yeah.
Actually, I've seen that screensaver you're describing. It's a great one.
Do you have a Corona in it?
Yeah, it might have. It might have had a Corona. I'm not sure.
But
speaking of, no.
Yeah, just like, it's
where
about
are
that
those
out.
Coronas?
But that's the limitation is, it should be as visual. A goal should be, to be specific, should be so visual that when you say it to anyone or you explain it to anyone, that they see the same thing you do.
Yeah, so you're like an author. You're like an author writing like a picture book of your so people should be able to vividly imagine your goal. So when you say specific, what you're thinking is it needs to be so refined and so specific that if you explain it to somebody else, they can see the vision and possibly even desire the same vision that you because who doesn't want to sit on a beach and have a drink in their hand and whatever. I mean, who doesn't want that?
I remember I had when I was selling 2x2.net. Right?
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Okay. So I remember how bad my goals were when I said it in front of an audience.
Okay.
So when you're doing multi-level marketing, like you're encouraged to want like things of vanity in the beginning, right? That's what attract you.
Yeah, I know, because they were famous for having like the Lamborghinis with a 2x2.net sticker on the side.
It made sense. Like, I feel like we should, I'd say we should do more of that sometimes, right?
Well, because I think a lot of people initially have that sort of shallow, like, mindset, like because that's what people see as wealth. They see wealth as, I own a jet, I have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, I have this villa in Tuscany. That's what they see. They see all these materialistic things, but like those things in and of themselves are nothing without what you're doing with those things. I guess, like, if you have the villa in Tuscany, is it because you love wine so much?
By yourself too?
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Are you going to be by yourself
Like,
in your,
how
in
big
your
is this
giant
villa?
Tuscany villa? Yeah.
But see, your goal was so vague, right? We just talked about.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine yours. You're like giant. And I said small.
Right.
So in this, I was standing up in front of. I said stand in front of the audience of like 50 people.
Yeah.
And say what my goal was, and I'll never forget it because the look I got was like I was an idiot.
Yeah.
So I said I wanted a black on black M5
Okay.
with Nakamichi rims. Okay, so like
Okay.
I'm 19.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I don't know any better. And Steve Venezia and he's standing next to me, looking at me with this dumb look on his face, right? And the other guy is this guy Seth Anapolsky, who I still run into them. They're both in this business now, from time to time. And Seth looks at me, and he says his goal, and his goal was, I need to make $80,000 this year because I love my grandpa and I want to pay for his PET scan because he has lung cancer from the asbestos, from laying asbestos flooring for 40 years. Okay. And I'm like standing next to him thinking like, wow, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And my goal was this like car, but it was still the image, right? I wanted I wanted the way this car looked with this thing. And his goal was as specific. Both of us had one. They were just very different, but he understood the why. He knew why he was going for that goal.
Sure. Yeah, and the why is a big one. It's not necessarily a part of the Tony Robbins.
No, but it is in Tim's.
It is, yeah.
In Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss's thing in his dreamlining, that's what he talks about is like the why. Do you want all the stuff?
Yeah, and that's important, because what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Like, is the why for owning a Lamborghini because you just want to be seen in the public eye as somebody that's of wealth and power? Is that what it is? I don't know.
He says be honest with yourself. So in Tim Ferriss's thing, he's saying like be honest with yourself about why you want these things, and you
can dig so much deeper into a why, because you might say that.
Love me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
mine did for the record.
Yeah, but you're just saying that as you were pretending to be the guy that wants the Lamborghini. I get it.
Totally.
But no, I mean, that's the thing is you can dig so much further into some of these whys because you might be I like going to nice places.
Yeah.
Like I personally do. I like staying in nice hotels. I like doing those things. But it's also because I have an expectation in those places of cleanliness. I have an expectation of quality. I have an expectation going to these places where I'm not allowed to get let down. If you're let down, they want to make it up to you because you can say I expect to go to a nice dinner. I don't want to have to send my meal back. If I have to send my meal back, that is a major mistake on their part.
I feel like you associate that with comfort. Yeah. Because generally if we travel together, I just basically you're like we're gonna stay here. I'm like great because I kind of don't care, right? So for me, like
next time we're staying in a KOA.
In an Airstream.
Yeah, there you go. No way, we're camping. We're in a tent.
But in some of these facilities, you're like, oh, I'm going to go check out the spa, or I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and like you're off on your own doing your thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like you associate your why as like the comfort. You're like, when I'm on vacation, I want comfort.
And relaxation.
Yeah.
I think, we're in a stressful business. Yes. I like to be able to get away from it and literally just let it go.
Yeah.
Forget about it. My phone is rarely away from me.
Yeah.
Except for if I'm at a spa or something, I don't have it on me. It's freeing.
But what you're doing, all those needs that you're setting up, all those things you're trying to achieve are to relieve the strains of the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So to that tone, right? Because like we're talking about quantification, like what that in your case, what level of hotel you want to stay or whatever. It's like Tony Robbins talks about it being measurable. The M's measurable, right? So
that's a good segue.
You like that segue?
That's great.
I thought you were gonna dig that. So in the measurable, a measurable goal, right, is when you can see how close you are to achieving.
Okay. Are you talking about like obviously we're not talking about time frame.
But are we?
Well, no, because it's one of the other 5 of the SMART acronym. So
good, valid point.
Yeah. So measurable in this case, is probably more like okay, for example, if you want to get a Guinness Book of World Record thing, they have some very similar things that qualify as a thing. Like if you're like I want to grow my hair have the longest
How many
hair.
472 hot dogs.
Yeah, there you go. Why not? Like the thing is, it has to be measurable.
Yes.
So there has to be for example, 472 would be the measure. Like
It's quantifiable.
it's quantifiable.
Yeah.
And so obviously you can't have the squart.
That's why I said measure.
Yeah. So you said measurable. Yeah.
It would be funny if it was the squart. The squart
Yeah.
system.
The squart system.
The squart system. That's more memorable.
It could be. I don't know.
Squart.
But is it measurable? So measurable in a way like it's like, what is your goal? So for example, we were talking about specifics earlier, where you wanted to get one phone call a week.
Yes.
Just from my marketing efforts, I want to get one phone call from a motivated seller. The measurable part is the one.
Yes.
I would say in this case.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like if you're, because the goal setting eventually gets into the plan, right? The business planning, which is sort of the next phase of the process. Those two are kind of closely tied together. So if the measurable goal, if my goal is 50 deals a year, profitable ones, right? Because what the hell would you have an unprofitable deal?
Well, there's people that do them.
Like that's why a vague goal is a problem, right? So like if your goal is 50 deals, and you need to have one call a day to get those 50 deals, you're going to easily be able to measure how close you are to your goal by counting those calls. Yeah. And all the progression that's made forward, right? Sure.
One a day or one a week, however you want to measure that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important when you're doing your goal setting, because it's also a very specific thing you're trying to hit. And then you kind of answer the why at the same time with the why do you want one call a day?
Yes.
And you can say because one call a day results in one deal a week based upon your experience.
Yeah, which results in at least my 50 a year with my Christmas break off and so on and so on. Well, so when we play a video game, call it like playing Call of Duty.
All right.
Like, in the beginning, right? Because you have your it's funny how gamification works, right?
Yeah.
They give you they boost your score up really quickly, but then the gap starts widening between your next rank up.
Yeah, it's easy to get to level 20, but to get to level 25 takes the same amount of time to get to level 20.
Totally, but the whole time on the screen, you're getting this measurement, right? It's telling you it's like you're at 16,000 points to get to 21,000 points is your next rank up,
right?
And we'll unlock these 3 guns.
Yeah.
If that thing indicator wasn't there, then the game would be less interesting.
Sure. Yeah, like if you had no idea when you level up, it
was random.
Yeah, if you just randomly level up, you're like, oh, and
actually, that's a really important point.
Yeah.
If it was random and you would have no idea, why the hell would you work towards it?
Yeah, well, there'd be no reason to work towards leveling up. It would, if a game were to have a feature where you leveled up randomly like that, or I'm sure there would be some back end algorithm that would calculate it. But if the player didn't know what that was, and couldn't see it on the screen, then there'd be leveling up would be very irrelevant to the game. It would have to be irrelevant to the game.
Yeah,
it's just like a social thing.
And people would just assume time or something like that got them there.
Yeah.
Right. Like actually, that's a good point too, because some people are. I'm going to be nice in saying it. I almost said dumb enough. Some people believe, or that don't have the experience that you put in your dues over time.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not experience. It's not. It's not purposeful. So because measurement is very purposeful.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm going to measure this thing and see how far along I am, and I feel like the people who are like, I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I don't know why I have, when I was young, I dreamed that I was going to retire at 40 years old, and I don't know why I'm 50 and I'm still in this industry and I can't retire.
Well, because they probably still have the same goal they had 30 years ago.
And
I want to sell houses.
Yeah, it was too vague, and they didn't measure it.
No, yeah, they didn't set a very specific goal.
No.
So, and even so, your why, and what are you going to do after that? There's got to be I almost feel like your goals have to go beyond the sitting on the beach with your feet up, having a beverage in your hand. Like the why plays into that obviously very big. It's not enough to care. It's not enough to care, but then it's you have to have another goal that goes behind that, which is the reason. Like, what are you going to do with it? Let's assume your goal is to earn a certain amount of money. Whatever you set an income goal. Yeah, a lot of people do this. Income goals are very specific thing people like to do.
You hear of people $20,000 in our industry, $20,000 a month in cash flow from rentals.
Yeah,
you heard that.
Okay, so you hear $20,000 a month, but what are you going to do with it? What's the point? Why are you making $20,000 a month? You know,
Do you have any idea?
what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know, like, and if you have a goal to retire by 55, what does that look like? How are you going to retire by 55?
And what happens at 55? What's
Exactly.
the thing you're shooting for? I remember.
Yeah, that's for me. Like, I still don't know what retirement even looks like. I don't even, at this point in my life, I don't even know if I'm going to retire.
No, but that's not. I don't think for either of us that's really important.
It's not, because I mean, I guess for anybody on the outside looking in would see us like, you know, today we went to the batting cages before we did this, like,
Yeah.
you know, because we just felt like going and having some fun. Like,
Yeah.
why not? Like, that's sort of the lifestyle we have the luxury of living, that we've sort of built for ourselves. Like, you know, that we could just sort of pick up in the middle of the day and go do something.
My trainer came to the office yesterday and worked me out, and then like I went to the spa and like hung out for a little bit and showered,
Right.
and then like came back to the office. Like, it's not like it would. You know what that would mean? Retirement means your current existence sucks.
Okay.
That's what retirement means to me.
Yeah, that you hate what you're doing, or you hate your current
Yes.
situation enough that you want to do something else so badly.
Yes.
And
I want to end this blight.
Yeah, and you're going to start doing the things you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, or you can just do them.
When you're at an age that's going to be more difficult to be as active and.
I'm going to travel at 90.
Oh man! Well, you know, my grandma, my mom's mom, she traveled all over the world.
But she
and
traveled
did all
from her
the
60s on, right?
No, she traveled, you know, from when they were young. I mean, probably
She always did.
Yeah, like in their 30s, I think is when
Yeah.
they started traveling. They just never stopped. Her and
Well, that's what I
my
mean.
grandpa.
She's always doing it. She wasn't learning to travel at 90.
No.
She was a lifetime traveler.
Yeah, she was a lifetime traveler. She traveled all the way up to, but yeah, she didn't start traveling
Yeah.
at 90. That would be
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Insane.
Literally 90 years old, like, well, I'm going to make my way to Italy.
yeah. I'm gonna go hike the Alps like I've always wanted to do.
Dude. I'm when we talk about like a quantifiable, when we talk about like a quantifiable goal and combining that with like the specifics, the why becomes this like important, just as important of a measure, because I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it. It's like scaling to. It's interesting. Like, I know we're supposed to talk about like an achievable goal next, because you know we're trying to be purposeful in these radio broadcasts now.
Of course.
I don't actually believe the achievable part. I
Okay.
can't get on board with it.
Meaning, okay, so like if I came to you and said my goal is to raise a herd of unicorns, it's not achievable because unicorns don't exist. Sorry
Okay.
for all the people out there who believe in the corns. You know, I'm a huge fan of the corns myself, but you know,
No, okay. So
hypothetically, unicorns don't exist.
other than fantasy,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Other than fantasy, part of the achievable thing, to me, connotates be realistic.
Okay.
And I do not have a history of being realistic.
No, I guess when you're setting goals, why would you want to be? You know, I guess realistic takes many forms. You have optimistic people and pessimistic people, and you know,
Maybe
pessimists.
it's achievable for you.
Yeah, like pessimists tend to think nothing's achievable and nothing's realistic. You know, they call themselves realists, but I just call them pessimists. These are all the naysayers, you know. But then you have the optimistic
Yeah, I call
people.
them dicks.
Yeah.
Like, there's generally not people I want to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, achievable takes different forms for different people. You know,
Yeah.
some like, you know, we talked about this with Billy a lot. Like we're
Yes.
like we said, like, could you just start right now, like, and become like a professional golfer or something like that?
And he kept arguing with me that like you could never be the best.
Yeah.
And like that, to me, when you say like you couldn't be the best at something, because you say like genetics and whatever.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, not everybody. You know, there aren't very many people. Okay, if you want to be a swimmer, if you want to be Michael Phelps,
Yeah.
because I feel like this is one of the things where buoyancy has a lot. Buoyancy is an important thing to being a swimmer.
Yeah, and being a really lengthy
You have a long torso
and short legs.
He has
and
an
long
incredibly
arms.
long torso, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that makes Michael Phelps quick is that he's a surfboard,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't mean that you couldn't build muscle fiber so quickly that you couldn't outrun the lack of buoyancy, right? So when somebody says like achievable, for me, achievable is like maybe the whole damn universe has to conspire with you to achieve it, but I don't really feel like there's much of a limitation. Bill Gates is literally ending diseases. Like, he was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find a practical way to do it. I don't think he woke up with this idea of knowing how to do it. So measuring achievability, I think, is more or less crap. Like, I think achievable only means that it's not unicorns.
Right.
It's humanly possible to do this.
Sure.
Right? Like maybe the 4-minute mile wasn't achievable.
At one point, yeah, at one point in time.
Now it's like every marathoner, every 1 mile sprinter.
Yeah,
these people can do this.
Yeah, if you're not breaking a 4-minute mile, don't bother.
Dude, you just don't show up.
Yeah, but then again, somebody could show up and say, "My goal is to break a 4-minute mile," and that's an achievable goal now.
Yes.
And they may not ever be able to get there because they might have a physical limitation.
Who cares?
Yeah, but I guess that's what I'm getting at.
The progress is worth it, right?
Yeah, you're working towards the goal. Like, goals have to be achievable, I guess, in a way, because if it's not achievable, then you're probably going to give up.
Well, like a human being's, like an entrepreneur's plight, right?
Yeah.
Is their inability to stop building new stuff. So, in a way, you sort of become your Sisyphus, right? You're sort of always pushing a boulder up a hill. And I saw like this beautiful diagram of it the other day, and it was like it was Sisyphus and something else, but it was essentially like one person was a slave to repeat the same thing, and one person was a slave to like continue to work, like until to an unsurmountable goal.
Yeah.
And like I like that. Did you see the Anvil documentary? Okay, so you should. If you haven't seen this documentary, you'll love this.
Never heard of it.
So we have friends that we grew up with that are still in glam rock bands.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
and
I saw them on Facebook just the other day.
Okay, and they are pumped about this idea of glam rock.
Yeah.
Now, Anvil was this dude who was traveling with all the other amazing bands during that time. I mean, people know them as like one of the greatest bands like of that time. Some people do.
Okay.
But they never got a major record deal because of like some series of unfortunate events. And the dude who was the lead singer, who looks unfortunate, is like he's on his like 50th or 40th or whatever, like 40 plus years of the band playing small venues where they're still playing, right? Members have changed all the time.
Okay.
And they do this documentary, and ironically, because the documentary of this guy that was like ever persistent, he gets a deal and starts touring. Now the band is literally touring the country, and like he's a famous rock singer.
Okay.
So Casey Neistat did this amazing YouTube video describing why you should never give up on your dream. And he says, you don't give up on your dream because one of two things. You either achieve it or you'll die trying and it won't matter.
Yeah.
So who cares if it's achievable?
That's the why.
That's the why.
If the why is strong enough.
If it's worth it.
But then again, a goal can also change over time.
Totally.
You still want the black M5 with the.
Okay, so I looked at them the other day, the same car.
Yeah.
And I want the E46 M3 now, but only so I could racetrack it.
See, so your goal changed.
It did. It did.
And the why changed.
Well, they changed the stupid car. They went to like a really crappy 10-cylinder instead of the V8. The new one's turbocharged. It's not as good. There's the new Synchro tranny is not the same.
See, so your original goal wasn't achievable. Because it just wasn't the best vehicle.
It was. I just really sucked at selling like nonsense websites that were really a Ponzi scam.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a pyramid scam.
Yeah.
It was totally achievable.
That was one of the problems. Yeah.
That was a bit. I still could have made the money. I would have screwed a lot of people over. I was too nice. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It was kind of the idea of 2x2.net was ahead of its time.
It's literally Amazon.
Yeah.
2x2 was Amazon.
Yeah.
They had a store with a series of affiliate links. It was a big grid. And it was also the Yahoo homepage, because it was a Simpsons homepage, which was animated. And you would click on a whole bunch of stuff and it'd take you to the newspaper, take you to the news. It was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But they used it the wrong way. They essentially turned it into hey, we're making way. It's like the producers. We're making way more money on a failure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They made more money selling other people on selling the program.
I think they IPO'd too.
Did they?
I think that they got private. I just remember hearing, because it was it was before the .com crash or whatever, that they were taking money from somewhere. I'd have to look back into it. Something happened with them, and it was I was like, wow, those guys made some real money at the top of that pyramid scam.
Didn't one of them go to jail?
We'll
have to look into it.
Yeah, we gotta find out.
So, I guess moving on from achievable, unless you had more to add to the
no. I mean, we're kind of going to the realistic thing because like I know. So realistic is the realistic is the next measurement, right? And like I was saying, like I don't think they have to be realistic, but
yeah, what is real? I mean, because realistic and achievable almost go hand in hand.
They do. Okay, so if we were to because we kind of beat that with a dead horse to death, time frame. So if we go into time frame.
Okay, so you want to skip realistic and go straight to time frame.
Yeah, because I want to kind of like get into like the Tim Ferriss streamlining idea.
Okay.
So and they kind of go together, but if we give a brief overview of what the model's supposed to look like, maybe it'll give more context for Tim Ferriss's model.
You think time frame is basically like a deadline, like by this time next year?
What's the rule, right? Like time frame is just another negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
So if time frame is another negotiation tactic, you're just negotiating with yourself on when you're going to do it. But time frame could also, we're just talking about with the car.
Yeah.
Time frame can limit your ability to achieve the goal.
It can.
So if you have to achieve it in the next 6 months, right? You have to, or it's not possible. Then time frame is a very important part of that equation.
Okay. Yeah. Like for example, if we go back to the Olympics thing,
yes,
there's a certain time you need to be ready in whatever event you're going to do to make it to the trials.
Yeah. You got a 3-year run or whatever.
Yeah. So like to make it to the trials.
Yeah.
Like let's assume you're like I need to make it to this year's Olympics. It's already too late.
Yeah.
Like those trials already happened. The people that are going to the Olympics already know they're going. They've already packed their bags. They're probably already there actually.
Next time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to start setting your goals for the next Summer Olympics that's coming up.
Yeah.
Or is it winter? Is it summer or winter that's coming up? I can't remember. I think it's summer.
No idea.
No idea.
2020, I know for sure. So yes, so it's winter. 2020 is summer.
Okay, so it's winter.
I fully plan on going to Japan for the summer.
For the Summer Olympics?
Yeah.
In 2020?
Yeah. We already have
goal.
like, no, it's not even a goal. There's already people we're like going with and they speak Japanese, like we're going.
Nice. That's very specific and measurable.
Yes.
Wow. And there's a time frame. It's achievable. This sounds like a real goal. It's realistic and everything.
No, we're going. Like he's ironically, not ironically, this will be the first summer games that handball is in, and not handball like most Americans know it. Handball, the international handball, will be in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, we've all been waiting for that.
Nobody knows what that is. It was an obscure sports weekly.
Yeah,
Obscure sports quarterly.
OSQ, yeah.
But no, so he's a coach. He's a player and a coach.
Okay.
Actually, hold on. The one of his fellow players. So Michael. So one of Cass's friends, Michael and Natalia. He was on this handball team. It's a beach handball team. So they play in the sand. And speaking of like coaching people, I can't forget his name. Bruce. What's the name of the podcaster? Lewis Howes. Lewis Howes is on his team with him. Okay. I was like, so actually that's another, if he's another person who does stuff similar like Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss and stuff now. So Lewis Howes was on his team with him. Like there's a bunch of I met a couple of people at the last Christmas party I went to. They were all pumped to go. So they were like, we're going to go see this. If it's going to be in the Summer Games, we're going to go see people play. So they didn't make it to the Olympic team. Okay. They were trying to get it for this year. I don't think it worked out, or the team wasn't put together. But they're going to want to go watch the game. So Michael was like, "We're going to go," and I was like, "I'm totally down."
So the USA has like one team.
Yeah, one team. Like there's literally just one. There's like some guys on a beach in Manhattan that were like going to try and make it happen. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. They traveled. I forget where they went to like compete or whatever to try and like see if they could do it and
to compete with all the other teams.
Yeah.
So this is not like an assembled team.
It was, but it's not now.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that sounds like an interesting sport
Yeah,
hopefully get some airplay.
but anyway, that's they had their why. That's why, and I was like, my why is because that sounds awesome, and I want to go to Japan.
Yeah.
Like my brother's gone, and I was like really, when he was in 7th grade, and I'm still really mad that like I didn't get that
You didn't
opportunity.
get to go.
Yeah, I was a kid that got in trouble. My parents.
So your why is just to spite your brother, basically.
Yes, there you go. See, exactly. No, I think it would be awesome to go. I also want to see the crazy modified like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff they do there.
Okay.
These like insane street cars. They take these like rad like last generation high performance cars. And they put like Fast and Furious, like straight up tons of lights on them.
Yeah.
Like it's super crazy drifting culture.
Yeah, and then there's also a distillery there I think you want to check out.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Might make a special trip up there one day.
Yeah, I may or may not.
Yeah.
Go by there. I mean, like, there's a bunch of. Actually, to be even more specific, there's like a whole series of places I want to go while I'm there.
Yeah.
So that's a ridiculously specific goal. I didn't really consider it. I just feel like I do that now.
Yeah.
Am I right? Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, there's always a point to everything. So, yeah, but when we're planning a trip or something like that, it's always very specific what we plan to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my wife, Megan, she's,
Yeah.
she plans things out to the minute.
I see it on the calendar while I'm here and you're
Exactly.
gone. It says which. I'm like, well, Todd's hiking that hill that day.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes there are times because for me, vacations also mean downtime, and sometimes for me it's tough because there's not enough downtime we've planned.
Yeah.
So that's something that for me, I need to interject that because it's like, okay, we're doing this vacation.
I would like to.
What if we're asking if I get something to do one day? I would like to just kind of relax at the hotel. Go to the pool, go to the spa, whatever. Like that's what I would like to do. Like I don't necessarily need to be snorkeling one day and then hiking a volcano the next day. And
That's actually funny because if you were to say to your wife, "I want to go on vacation,"
yeah.
right? If she's like, "I want to go on vacation," her vision of what it looks like is going to be very different than yours.
Yeah, and if it's a place we've never been, I guess, we tend to want to do the touristy things first to get those out of the way.
Yeah.
Because you sort of have to. Like, if you go to Paris, you got to go to
I
the
saw
Eiffel
the
Tower.
yeah.
You took a picture of the Arc de Triomphe, we went down the Champs-Elysees. It was great. But, then, you're like, but there's
Let's
also
go back to the Eiffel Tower and get drunk on the lawn with all the locals at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a more that'd be a second trip to Paris type thing you'd do,
That's exactly.
There's also that weird, French bistro you found that's like, somewhere in a tucked away corner that nobody knows about that you want to go back to.
You stumbled onto it obscurely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. After you got drunk on the lawn at the Eiffel Tower, yeah.
Well, so like if vacation is a goal, right? If I feel like for a lot of people, with a 9-to-5 job, vacation is a goal.
Yeah.
Like especially if you don't like your job. In Tim Ferriss's Dreamlining, he sort of breaks out. He wants you to have a specific goal, like that says exactly what you want to achieve, and then figure out the cost. And then you work the problem backwards with the cost to how much you have to make now and how much you have to make while you're doing it. So an example would be like, so when I was supposed to go to Australia with Todd Wagner, so a longtime friend of mine, and he was leaving, so he was banking a bunch of money like to go to Australia. He wanted. I think he needed like $3,000, so for at least the first like month and a half, he didn't have to worry about having a job or anything.
Right.
And so Todd knew, he was like, I'm going to leave the country for at least a year.
Yeah.
And his goal was to leave America, and he's like, while I'm there, I'm going to need to get a job and stuff, whatever at some point. But I know it's going to cost me roughly this much to live. So he went and looked online and said, okay, it's going to cost me like $4,000 a month roughly to live fairly well in Australia. He pre-bought a round trip ticket, like one of the floating round trip tickets. He said there was like a special package where you could buy a round trip, and it was like 5 on island or on continent flights through whatever airline for one bulk price.
Qantas.
I think it might have been. It was like you came from the U.S. and back, and for these 5 flights for like at the time like $2,000 or whatever. This is quite a while ago.
Yeah.
It's probably double now. But he said you could only buy this. He knew he could only buy this thing in December. So then he knew that within a certain time frame, he had to save enough money. We were working together. He had to save enough money to buy that ticket to use in the future.
Yeah.
And then he knew that he needed to save additional money between when he bought that ticket and when he was going to leave to be able to live comfortably while he's there.
Right.
And then he had to find a job in the places he was traveling to make X amount of dollars per month to live if he wanted to do these things. And then if he had this list of things, that total amount changed every month in dollars because certain things cost certain amounts of money.
Yeah.
Right? So all of those things were extremely quantifiable, time specific, and realistic, right?
Sure.
But the idea was that you started with the end in mind, and you worked the thing backwards with all of the have-tos, and then there's the floating things. And then you're like, okay, well, now I started with I want to leave the country and I have no idea how to. I've literally written exactly how I'm going to leave the country, like my dream, right? And go. Well, Tim Ferriss would take a step farther is with if dreamlining means change your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that means you'd like to live in Australia the rest of your life. And in order to do so, you have to get a PhD or a master's degree in a specific field so that the people of the consulate, or whatever they call it in Australia, there classify you as I forget what they call it, tier 1 or whatever, citizen for immigration because of your education background and the necessity for those jobs needed in the country.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you know, like, okay, this is maybe it's a 4 or 6 year plan. Maybe we can do 2 years here and 4 years there, or whatever. You start working towards that. And basically what he's saying is, this is my current existence. This is my future existence. What are all the things I have to overcome to go from my current to my future existence? And then set a timeline for them and follow it.
Yeah.
And I think like when people think of a goal, they only think of like an end. They don't think of that transition to the new life.
Sure. So you're sort of setting like a micro goal in the middle of it, like in that story you're telling about Todd Wagner, where he's setting a goal to initially get enough money to buy the plane ticket, and then once he gets that, it sort of steps in the goal, which maybe be like tasks.
Yes.
These are like things that need to be happening in order for that goal to become a reality.
Yeah. So when we get into like the business planning side, mm-hmm. right? You have all of these series of, let's say, bulk tasks. So like a large task would be like buying the plane ticket. If buying the plane ticket's a goal,
yeah, but
400 hours of labor is the plan, right?
Okay.
Finding a job when you get to Australia within the first 6 weeks is the goal. But then when you get to Australia, or before you get to Australia, your plan is all the steps you have to take to make sure you get that goal.
Yeah, so time frame.
Time frame, and like it's like homework.
Yeah, it is. That's what building goals are all about. I mean, there's people out there that work for their employer. They work in a job, and even there you might set goals for yourself. You're trying to, and a lot of these are some of these are probably already assigned to you. Like you already know that you have to get a certain quarterly report in by the end of the quarter. So therefore, you already know what the end time is. It has to be done by then. Yeah. Which means the day before, these people are cranking them out.
An object with swell importance.
Yeah, exactly.
And equivalent to the amount of time given.
That's Parkinson's law.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember you have a term paper due.
Yeah.
You gotta write a book. I'm gonna have
to do this at 9 o'clock tonight.
Man, I read a lot of books in one day.
Totally. A lot of Cliff version of them.
Yeah. Cliff wrote some great notes on those books.
Cliff's a brilliant guy.
Fortunately, he read all those books before me, so I didn't have to.
Just think now, we just send it to the virtual assistant. Be like, will you read this and send me some notes?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's entirely possible. Like you watch these people on the news shows, maybe even some other broadcasters here on KCAA do this. I don't know, but They might send out a book to somebody else because, like, when does Jimmy Kimmel have a time to
Oh yeah,
read?
I totally read that.
Yeah, I read your book. Like they have somebody on that just wrote a book, for example.
Yeah.
Who was the one that wrote Principles? Ray Dalio.
Yeah, Ray Dalio.
Principles just came out today.
It's 900 pages.
I read it. It's a fantastic book. Like, you didn't read that. There's no way you read that book today.
It's hard for me to get through. It's been weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's so pithy.
Oh yeah, I know. The book is insane. I've been watching YouTube videos of it as well.
God.
So like interviews with Ray Dalio and stuff talking about the book. There's just so much detail in there.
Yeah.
But that's, like the thing is, if you look at Ray Dalio's goals that he talks about in Principles, I mean, they took it down to a microscopic level.
Yeah.
And really just boiled down, like, how do we build a better company?
Even measuring like personal performance and personal reliability and like just like an insanely minute process.
Yeah.
Like if what was that? Everything was like if there was like a credibility score.
Yeah.
Where like if you were at a group meeting and they would like give you a score based on how credible you thought, and everybody's got like an iPad and they're like, not credible, like after talking.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Dude, that his stuff is mind blowing. But if you look at Ray Dalio's book, and you think of someone who ran a $350 billion fund, right, private fund.
Yeah.
And it took, I mean, listening. Sure, a sec didn't read it. Listening to the first 7, I think, on chapter 79. There's hundreds of chapters for anybody who doesn't pick up this book. He's telling the story of like how he got to like the size of the company, like the way the company is. That book is a representation of like 40 plus years of small goals that build a giant mountain.
Yeah.
Right? With a deep foundation. And all of them were like a whole series of specific, small, measurable goals that you slowly went towards, and each one built upon the next.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like even with our own business now, like starting it, there are these like grandiose goals. Like we want to start this company, we want to do this thing, we want to flip houses, for example. And now it's like it's getting to the point where we're making those more minute changes, and they're so much less exciting. Now
they're boring.
Yeah, they're almost boring and mundane.
I feel like I'm knocking them out though faster, but like they're definitely mundane.
Yeah, they're more mundane, and and it's to accomplish a very small thing.
Yeah.
Because the big things we've tackled.
Yes.
It's now like, okay, let's find a way to shave off an hour.
Yes.
From every deal we do.
Yeah, it's like getting faster on a racetrack, right?
Yeah.
A little better tires, a little better suspension, a little better whatever. Like it's just like. Bit by bit by bit by bit, it's more refined.
Yeah, and so that's sort of how it gets over time. Like it starts out with this big thing, like and that's I guess when you talk about achievable, realistic, and time frames, when we're talking about these SMART goals, like that's how they kind of start in a big manner.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like especially if for those people that are like right now driving home from their job or something like that, like. You might be thinking of like, okay, I would really love to get into real estate investing. I would really love to become.
Yeah, there's so much to it, though.
Yeah, well, there is, but there isn't, especially in the beginning.
Well, that's why I was bringing it up. Like their thought process is probably there's so much to this.
Like let's take a very simple aspect of real estate investing. Let's just say I want to buy a house and rent it out. I just want to own a rental. One a year. Perfect.
1 a year.
1 a year is an achievable goal.
So that's in Building Wealth One House at a Time.
Yep.
Which is still my favorite book.
Yep, John Schaub.
So. He said if you do nothing else and you just buy one home a year for 10 years, right? That's all you got to do.
Yeah. After enough time, there's enough appreciation in the market, you could sell a couple of those and probably pay off the remaining.
Yeah, or if you're getting extra cash flow, apply that to the loan and pay it off in 12 to 17 years.
Yeah.
It's like a whole bunch of ways to like push, but the experience you would have on deal 1 would be very, very different than the experience you'd have on deal 10.
Sure.
From a ton of rental buying experience over the years.
Yeah, because you buy one, and it's a really simple process. I'm going to call a realtor.
Yes.
And I'm going to have this realtor make offers on houses that I think will make good rentals.
Yep.
And it's a very simple thing in the very beginning, because that's the basics.
And use the one calculation, right?
Yeah.
Total rent times 0.65
Well, that comes later. Like, you don't learn the point.
Yeah, you don't in the beginning though.
In the beginning, like most people.
But if you had that one tool, if you had one tool,
sure,
and made one phone call, you could do it.
If you had like a rental net income calculator,
yes.
And the basic version that we would use to qualify a deal right up front,
yes,
would be take the annual income that the property will produce, multiply that times 65%, because that's taking out a 35% expense ratio.
Yeah, taxes, vacancy, all the operational costs.
Exactly, management. And so what you're left with is 65% of the original income. So let's assume the house was going to make $10,000 a year. You're left with $6,500 a year is what your net take home is going to be.
Yep.
If your mortgage every year, if you borrow money for this property, works out to be $6,000 a year, then you're making $500 a year on this property.
Sweet.
It's not amazing, but it's paying the bills, and in enough time, it'll be worth more where you could,
with that calculation, right?
Yeah.
And a lender telling you what your payment would be, you can make that decision on your own.
Yeah, that's fairly simple.
Yeah.
So that's real basic.
But by the time you get to the 10th, you're like, I want in this neighborhood. It has 3 bedrooms, has 2 baths, must have a 2-car garage. Would prefer it on this side of the street.
Yep.
But you're going to get super refined.
Yeah, and you're eventually going to get down to the point where you're like, I want ceramic flooring or some other durable flooring, so I don't have to replace it every time a tenant moves out.
Yes.
Because when you start going through tenant cycles, you realize that the costs of moving in a new tenant, to ready a building for the next tenant can get costly. Especially if you're having high turnover.
Expensive.
It can get that way.
Yeah, carpet can get expensive.
Especially after, if you're replacing tenants every year or something like that. So your system starts getting more and more refined over time.
Yeah.
I guess to apply this to real estate, because that's what the show's all about, right?
Well, I think you brought it around really well. I think it's important to understand the relationship between why, real estate's the tool though, right? So if the goal is to, when I said $20,000 a month in cash flow in the beginning, right? If $20,000 a month in cash flow represented 20 homes,
okay,
which represent 20 years of your life,
so you're bringing home $1,000 a month net income
from each one. So
they're
all
rental.
Paid off after 20 years.
After 20 years, you got 20 cash flowing properties that net you $1,000 a month.
Yeah, each one that's $1,000. You get your 20 grand, you're good.
But you can apply it the same way. You're going to buy 10 franchises or 20 franchises.
Yes.
You could buy 10 different gumball machines. And put them into grocery stores.
Now you just got to figure out what you're going to do with the money.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you?
When you get it,
what are you going to do with that $20,000?
What are you going to do with 20 grand?
I'm going to start traveling at the age of 90. That's why.
Oh man!
My gumball machines are going to make me a very happy 90-year-old traveler.
So we're getting close to the end of the hour.
We're getting close, yeah.
The next month we're going to talk about the actual business planning side, like the small integrations, like how you integrate. I guess should we tell people that's what we're going to be doing every month?
Yeah, I suppose so. We should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I tell them?
Well, I guess go for it next month, because you're going to be back every month.
So now I'm the monthly guest.
Yeah, you're going to be a monthly guest of the show.
For anybody who missed my annoying self being here, I'll be a monthly guest of the show, especially because now we film it across the hall from my office.
A little easier.
Makes it a little easier. I hated driving to the Carousel Mall. The place was a zombie apocalypse. It was just if you get a chance and you're in the area, go by the Carousel Mall and just walk through it. It'll creep you out, especially at night.
Yeah.
While the days are still short. But we have all the themes for the month, right? We have the business planning next month, and I don't have them offhand. But we have 11 themes going through November. And every month, Todd and I are going to sit down and we're going to talk about each of those themes and how they play a role in this business, and hopefully listen to this radio show. If you come to the meetings, if you're a part of the network as a whole, you'll get a reasonable grip or a decent foundation in helping you achieve your own goals through real estate.
Yeah. So if you're interested in getting involved in the real estate investing world, come check out the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. We have one major meeting every single month, which is on the 4th Wednesday. For those of you tuning in right now, it's going to be next Wednesday, which is the 24th of January. And we do that at Loft 84 in downtown Riverside. It's a nice venue. We get the place to ourselves, and there's food, and there's beverages available for purchase.
Tacos.
It's tacos.
Tacos.
Yep, we have the taco guy there. Good tacos.
Yeah.
And we'll also have coffee tomorrow, this Saturday.
Yeah,
this weekend. So if you're not able to come out on a Wednesday night, I know a lot of people can't, but if you're able to this Saturday morning, that'll be at the Lift Coffee Roasters #2 in Riverside off Chicago. But you can always find all this information on meetup.com, find out about upcoming events, find out about all kinds of stuff. You can read more about the club and get to know some of the members there.
Which club, Todd?
The Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. Look it up on meetup.com or simply type into Google, search Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club or Inland Empire Investing, anything like that. We usually show up as the first result. So I want to thank my guest, Stephen McKee, for coming out today.
It was a long drive.
It was, I know, and I apologize. Your check's in the mail.
A lot of traffic, thanks.
Check's in the mail. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all again here next week, Thursdays at 4 p.m., right here on the Flip Flop Investor Show. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.